How's it going, everybody? New hat, same medium show. I guess we'll go with medium. I don't like to sell myself too big. This is Riding in Cars with Cards. This is the show that I do as a companion to Homeward Path to kind of get the specifics. The deck where Homeward Path is more evergreen, this show is more specific to formats, snapshots in time, decks, cards, like whatever. And as I mentioned in last week's episode, I'm gaga for Pioneer. Love it. Unbelievably excited for it. So naturally, over the weekend, I sat down and built my first two paper decks. Cards had been ordered and they got here. Now, they're not going to be as exciting as they maybe otherwise would have been because I ended up having to loan out my lands for my teamer colors to Andrew for a deck that he's going to be playing at the Invitational, but I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't want to spoil the surprise. But you know, I'd rather help somebody out that's going to play an event that really, really matters, as opposed to hanging on to these cards for, you know, a week or two to play it break against someone I'm trying to teach. Like, it just seems unreasonable and not very kind. So we gave him the hookup as much as we could. We didn't have everything, but we had the majority of it. And then so I sat down last night and finalized at least my prototype lists for two decks. I'm going to talk about one of them today because for me it represents like the absolute level 0 of Pioneer. That deck is mono red aggro. Not mono red prowess, not strictly mono red burn because the cards you're playing allow you to play more of a traditional red aggro role too. Just kind of depends on how the matchup is going, what it seems to be about. You are playing a lot of burn, but you're not a burn deck. So I went with kind of the classic model of 20 lands, 40 spells. And we went really, really lean on the mana curve. This deck is only playing one card that occupies what I'd consider a top-end slot. Like a high-end, a top-of-the-curve haymaker. One, not one play set, one singular card. One. So let's get started with the creatures because that's going to govern a lot of the other choices we got going on. Well, I didn't build specifically mono red prowess. I did retain the prowess creatures because they're just actually the best 1-drops. 4 Monastery Swift Spear, 4 Soulscar Mage. And then in an effort to get to play the best burn spell in this format, I also played 4 copies of Gitu Lava Runner. It's the 1-drop wizard. Turns into a goblin guide after you played a couple of burn spells. Except it doesn't let your opponent draw through their land pockets. So it's like worse on turn 1 and better. That's like worse on turn 1 and 2 and better basically every other turn of the game. So I'll take that trade-off. And it's a wizard, so it allows us to play the best burn spell in Pioneer. I'm going to say that a lot, but it really is the best burn spell in Pioneer. And then so those are the 12 1-drop creatures. We're playing 4 of each. And then 4 copies of Runaway Steamkin. And there's a couple of reasons I went Runaway Steamkin here. There's plenty of other creatures I could have considered. I could be playing more creatures than I am. If I really wanted this to be like classic red aggro, purism. But Runaway Steamkin can live up to its name, especially when we're a deck that's really, really low on the mana curve. And between Light Up the Stage and our 1 curve topper, like extra mana is not bad when we're going through our deck pretty quick. It's very possible that we need to be playing less lands thanks to Light Up the Stage and the relative tiny size of our mana curve. We could probably cut a couple of lands and play a couple of more creatures, but I chose to stick to the idea that flooding was better than being screwed. So I'd rather be able to cast our spells than not, frankly. So, from the creatures, we delve into the other cards. And no, there's no Dove cards in here because it's mono red. We're playing 4 copies of each. In this case, the burn spells were chosen because they were what I had. 4 copies each of Shock, Lightning Strike, Skewer the Critics, and Wizard's Lightning. Notably, Shock is the only one of those that deals less than 3 damage. So the idea that you can just point your burn spells upstairs and get there and let your opponent worry about removing your creatures, like in matchups where that's what the game is about, you can totally do that. You've got enough burn to go upstairs and win the game. It is not unreasonable to believe that you can just play all your burn spells, point them at your opponent's face, let your creatures attack, and just let your opponent figure out the math. Like, some amount of the time that's going to be correct. But there's also the fact that all of these burn spells can go at creatures. So, sometimes it's a little awkward. You have to make like a chump attack. Your opponent's like, you know what, I'll take 1, and then you get to skewer their 3/3. But, we have, if you add it all up, 9 times 3 is 27, plus 8 is 35 in those spells alone. So 35 damage is a lot of damage to have in packets in your deck. And then we didn't stop there. We're playing 3 more. We're playing 3 copies of Slaying Fire. This probably should be Exquisite Firecraft because of potential down the road sideboard implications, but I mean, 3 mana, 4 damage. What are you going to do? It does exactly what you need it to do. It's a 3-drop for a deck that doesn't really want a 3-drop creature. And 4 damage for 3 mana is a lot. As someone who played during original Ravnica format and got blown out from 4 by Char more than once, this is a Char that doesn't hit you back. So I'll play it. I'm going to play it. And then our last card, 4 copies, Light Up the Stage. Really, really good. Card is obscene. Just actually insane. Draw 2 for a red is really strong. I don't know that I need to go any further than that. Drawing 2 cards for a red is really strong. And then our last card is 1 copy of Experimental Frenzy. Because we have all this burn. Monastery Swiftspear is a haste creature. Runaway Steamkin, you're playing all these cards that cost 1. Sometimes on turn 4, you just jam that thing and untap and kill them. These are things that happen sometimes. Do you get hosed by the Miser's Grafdigger's Cage that everybody's running? Yeah. Board it out. But in main deck games, that card is just absolutely insane if it resolves. So why mono red? Why would we look at mono red first? Well, I mean, the lazy answer is that it's one of the easiest places to start in any format, regardless. But you also have to consider the fact that it is fast, it is aggressive, it is powerful. Like, you hit like a truck, you have lots of burn spells, you can win aggro mirrors by adopting kind of a removal-oriented posture. You use your burn spells as removal, and you get paid off by getting to attack a little harder with your prowess creatures. Curving turn 1 Soulscar Mage into turn 2 Monastery Swiftspear Shock, attack for 4. Into turn 3, Lightning Strike your blocker, attack for 4. Light up the stage. Like, you just keep applying this little bit of pressure. And then in games where there aren't a lot of creatures to throw your burn spells at, you can also go the other way and just start hucking stuff upstairs and see if your opponent can do anything about it. Like, see if they have an out to getting their face melted. It goes all the way back to what I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks: being proactive, having a simple, streamlined plan. There's very few things that are more simple and streamlined from a planning perspective than mono red aggro. You have a little bit of multiplicity in how you can play. Like, Light Up the Stage lets you adopt a control role that maybe older red decks and formats gone by weren't able to occupy. But by and large, you're just like the classic red aggro deck. You're playing a few less creatures in exchange for playing more removal / burn spells. And I mean, that's where I'm at right now for mono red. Are there better builds out there? I'm sure there are. There's kind of classic. And as far as the mana base is concerned, I did get a little cute because we're playing 18 mountains and 2 Ramen Up Ruins. Ramen Up Ruins being a little bit of flood insurance, a little bit of something to do when you draw too many of your lands. Sometimes that extra 2 points of damage is the difference. But, you know, end of the day, like, the number of games that are going to be decided exclusively by Ramen Up Ruins are going to be really small. But the number of games that are going to be decided in part by Ramen Up Ruins are probably going to be pretty staggering. Just the ability to chip in for an extra few points of damage, unabated, not counterable by counter spells. Like, I'm here for it. It's good. It's a really good card. Excuse me. And that's the long and short of it. What is this deck good against? Anything that stumbles. If you have a reasonable draw and your opponent stumbles, they die. That's what happens. Reasonable draw, opponent stumbles, you just kill them. They're just dead. It's also, in historical context, it's also good against control decks because of the mixture between really, really fast, aggressive creatures and the fact that they can get bigger as the game goes on or as you just play your game. Runaway Steamkin growing to be potentially a 4/4, beating them down while threatening to bury you in more cards, either from the top of the deck or from the hand. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And then Monastery Swiftspear, Soulscar Mage, hitting for a lot more than your one-drop creatures have any business hitting for, especially when you start slinging a bunch of spells at once. Like, those things hitting for 6 on turn 4 feels gross. Or on turn 3. You just lightning strike a blocker, shock the other blocker, attack you for 6. That's a lot. And your opponent's down there 2 cards. Like, you're applying a lot of pressure and your opponent is losing cards. Both of these things are things you want. So, what is this deck bad against? Anything that wants to beat it. It is going to be naturally a little bit of a dog to mid-range. Because mid-range decks can clog up the ground and make the line where you're trying to play creatures and clear a path and attack. You can make that line a little bit invalidated. If they play some amount of some token amount of life gain, they can make your math a little bit difficult. They can slow you down. They can eventually dominate the board. It's a grind for them, though. If they stumble, you just kill them. So, it's also pretty rough against a deck like, a deck engineered to beat it. Like, life gain is just really bad for you. Life gain makes your life really difficult. And especially a card like Authority of the Consuls that will not only gain life, but will also slow your development down. Like, your creatures come in tapped. That's a big deal. It can mean you don't get to block, and then it can mean by the time you get to block, it doesn't matter because they've gained enough life to offset. Like, that's the thing. There's cards and decks in the format that will invalidate mono red. But it's at its best when everybody's trying cool new stuff, or when they've settled on decks that are really reactive and not reactive to the things you're doing. So that's where I'm at for week 1 for Pioneer. That's all I got. Mono red aggro. May have been expecting something really cool, really flashy, really exciting. I know I was, but we got what we got, and the deck feels really effective. Like Soul Scar into Swift Spear Burn Spell is really strong. You know, either clearing a path to get in for 4 or just going upstairs and getting them for a total of 6. 6 is a lot. It's nearly a 30-year life total. You could argue it is a 30-year life total because of how Shocklands work. So, like, these cards don't look super powerful on the surface. You know, we could be playing cards like Hazoret. We could be playing cards like Earthshaker Kenra. We could be playing cards like Rekindling Phoenix, you know, from days gone by. I'm not here for that. Not in this build, anyway. There's other builds I'm looking at that I want a lot of those cards, but not this one. I don't want them here. So that's what I got this week. You got questions, comments, concerns, ideas, leave them down there or on the Facebook group. If you're a member of the Facebook group, obviously I'm fairly easy to get in touch with Homeward Pathfinders. It's open invite, send a request. You will more than likely be approved, and then as long as you're not a horrible human being, we'll let it go. We'll let you keep posting. We'll have conversations. If you want to have a conversation with me directly because you think I don't know what I'm talking about, 1, you're probably right. 2, I'm mostly kidding. But you want to talk to me personally instead of, you know, letting them all air out all over the place. I'm on Facebook. My name is Adam Spain. I'm on Twitter. My name is Homeward Path MTG. At Homeward Path MTG. I should probably clarify that. I'm on the Constructed Criticism Discord as Adam and HWPs in parentheses for Homeward Path. And then if you're a patron of the show, you want your deck list to make your way on here, all you got to do is be a patron of $3 or more. So, you know, we have a Discord for the patrons as well, where we discuss episode topics. I'm so used to grabbing the brim of my hat. This is going to take some getting used to. But, you know, we have a Discord for the patrons. If you're a patron of $3 or more, you get access to having your decks published first on this show. You move to the front of the line, if you will. And that's all I got. So what I'm going to be talking about, I meant to do it last week, and then my voice just died on me Thursday morning. I lost the entire middle register of my voice. So I was either talking like this or talking like this. Like, I had no middle register. I was either really loud or really quiet. And I didn't want to put y'all through that. So, feeling much more like myself. The weather seems to be trying to iron itself out. So, we're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best. But until then, we're going to be, Thursday, we're going to be talking about building decks in a brand new format. Something, again, I feel uniquely qualified to talk about because of some past experiences that I will definitely be sharing on the episode. And then next week, hopefully, anyway, we will have some more sweet Pioneer brews to talk about. There's a couple I got my eye on, but we'll see. And with that, I'll leave you. Just remember, stay safe, enjoy the game, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. Take it easy, guys.